What's going on, everybody? It's your boy at Crossover MMA back with another video. And for today, we're looking at UFC Fight Night Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov. This is the recap. So I'm going to go through the full fight card, give you a little breakdown, recap of the card, and let's get right into it. So first fight on the card, we have Sedriques Dumas versus Denis Tiuliulin. So in the first two rounds of this fight, Dumas would land a little bit more on the feet, and he would get a takedown and pretty much control Tiuliulin for the rest of the round. The third round, Tiuliulin came out a little bit more forward, a little bit more on the gas. Dumas was kind of coasting through the third round. Tiuliulin, it was pretty clear Tiuliulin needed a finish. Ultimately, he didn't get it, and Dumas won a 29-28 decision. Moving right along, we got Herbert versus Rolando Bedoya. So in the first round, Bedoya comes out, he's landing a lot of leg kicks. Herbert starts getting off with his hands. He starts landing some combinations with his hands. It's very clear that he has a little bit of a speed advantage. And then Herbert drops Bedoya. He's winning the striking exchanges with his hands, so it's a clear 10-9 round for Herbert. Round two is a close round. Both guys are having success. Herbert's speed, footwork, and boxing are ultimately the difference of the round. And it's just another 10-9 round for Herbert. So we go to round three. And round three is just more of the same, what we've seen up until this point in the fight. Herbert's landing more strikes. He's getting the better of the striking exchanges. And he pretty much cruises to a decision. So it's a 30-27 decision for Herbert. Moving right along, we have Victoria Dudakova versus Sam Hughes. So Dudakova coming into this fight was undefeated. In the first round, she was landing some big combinations. She was going for some takedowns, but Sam Hughes was stopping all of the takedowns. But round one was a clear 10-9 for Dudakova. Then we go to round two. Dudakova's, you can tell she's starting to fatigue a little bit, starting to gas a little bit. She can't land any takedowns, and ultimately, like, those failed takedowns just gas her even more. Hughes starts winning the striking exchanges, and you can start to see the momentum change of the fight in that second round. I think everybody could really feel it. So then round three, or going into round three rather, it's one apiece. Round three, Dudakova lands a combination, gets into the clinch, and a grappling sequence ensues. Hughes ends up landing on top, and Dudakova's kind of in trouble. And Dudakova's just gassed. Like, she can't really do anything. Hughes is landing enough to stay in the position and ultimately wins the third round. And she wins a 29-28 decision. I mean, it was just a really good showing of some grit and determination by Sam Hughes. Moving right along, we have Guram Kutateladze versus Jordan Vucenic. Hope I'm saying that right. But coming in, Jordan was making his UFC debut against Guram. In round one, Jordan comes out looking very fast, looked like he had a clear speed advantage. He's leading the dance with Guram. He lands a big right hand and drops Guram in the first round. And essentially, Guram just never got going in the first round. He couldn't get any offense going, and it's a clear 10-9 round for Jordan. Round two, Guram comes out, and you can tell he's trying to slow the pace of the fight down a little bit. He starts to take initiative in the round. He ends up getting into the clinch with Jordan and lands like a big elbow in the clinch and ends up giving Jordan a cut. Guram then gets a takedown at the end of the round, and that pretty much was the highlight of the round. So that round was a 10-9 for Guram. So it's one round apiece going to round three. Round three's looking a lot like how round two looked. Then there's a scramble. Guram ends up on top after Jordan tried to take the back of Guram. Guram did this little thing where he like pushed off the cage and then he ended up on top. Guram controls that position for the rest of the round, wins round 3, and then so it's a very good 29-28 decision for Guram Kutateladze. Very tough fight. Both guys did very well. Very good fight. Moving right along, we have Shamil Gaziev versus Dontel Mays. So round 1 with this, Gaziev is coming out, or Shamil Gaziev is coming out forward, landing shots. He's pushing Mays up against the cage. He level changes, lands a takedown, and controls Mays for the rest of the round. So that round's done. It's 1 round down for Shamil. Round 2, both guys come out. They're landing strikes early. Gaziev lands a big right hand, and that's pretty much the difference in the round, and Gaziev wins that round, so it's 2 rounds and none at this point. Round 3, more of the same. Gaziev ends up landing a takedown very early in the round. At this point, Mays is kind of gassed. You can really tell there's no chance he's getting up on his feet. Gaziev controls the position, lands enough strikes to where the ref doesn't stand him up, and he wins the round. It's a clear 30-27 decision for Gaziev. Moving right along, we have Mohammad Yahya versus Kaue Fernandes. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but so we come out round 1. Fernandes is landing a lot of leg kicks. Like, he is chewing Yahya's leg up. It's just one leg kick after another, and you can tell that they're affecting Yahya because he starts to switch his stance, and when he's switching his stance, he's not really offering up much offense. And then it ends up getting to a point to where Fernandes just chews up that lead leg so much, because whenever Yahya would go back orthodox, Fernandes would go right to the leg kicks each time. And then it got to a point to where Yahya couldn't really move, and he basically was just a sitting duck. Then the audio cuts to Dean Thomas, and Dean Thomas goes, he would be surprised if Yahya makes it through the round. And as soon as not as soon as he gets off, but shortly after that, Fernandes lands a 1-2, drops Yahya, swarms him, and gets the finish. So moving right along, we have Alonzo Menifield versus Azamat Murzakanov. So round 1, Murzakonov's coming out. He's landing on Menifield. I think Menifield's a little tentative because he's coming off that quick KO from Carlos Ulberg in like 12, 13 seconds in his last fight. But the uppercuts, the body shots, Murzakanov is pretty much landing anything he throws at Menifield. It's a very clear 10-9 for Murzakanov. Round 2, they come out, and it picks up right where he left off. Murzakanov is just landing, and then all of a sudden he lands this huge left hook right on the chin, then an uppercut, drops Menifield, swarms him, gets the finish, and that's the end of the fight. Moving right along, we have Joel Alvarez versus Elves Brener. Round 1, Alvarez comes out, lands some big shots early. He's controlling the center of the octagon, using his size and his reach. Brener's also landing, but Alvarez, I say, was getting a little bit better of the exchanges. Alvarez then lands a big right hand halfway through the round. Brener's up against the cage, and he lands some big shots as well. Brener then clinches up. Last minute of the round, Alvarez is just beating up Brener, just beating him up. Then Brener goes down. Alvarez goes for a darts choke. Doesn't get it, but it's a clear 10-9 round for Alvarez. So then we go to round 2, and it's looking a lot like how round 1's looking. Both guys are landing. Alvarez is getting a little bit better in the exchanges, and he's landing a little bit heavier shots than Brener, and that's pretty much the whole round, honestly. And at that point, it's another clear 10-9 round for Alvarez. Coming out for round 3, Alvarez picks up right where he left off, controlling the center of the octagon, and he just starts walking Brener down, marching him down, and he's just stalking him around the octagon at this point. Then Brener comes rushing in, he lands, but he gets countered with a big left hook from Alvarez. Brener's hurt. Alvarez unleashes some combos. I think he threw like 20 knees in a row. Alvarez drops Brener and then gets the finish. Moving right along, we have Mackenzie Dern versus Godinez. So round one, Lupi's landing the cleaner shots on the feet. They get into the clinch. Dern then lands a trip and ends up on top. She goes for an armbar. Lupi defends it, but in her trying to defend it, like her face is just right there available. And Mackenzie Dern is just tagging her with hammer shots right in the face. And for me, that ended up winning Mackenzie Dern the round. So I gave that a 10-9 for Mackenzie Dern. Round two, both ladies come out. They're landing strikes. I would say Lupi's landing the cleaner strikes this round. She landed a few more strikes this round as well. Lupi then shoots a double leg. Dern stands up, but then Godinez ends up in a standing arm triangle at the end of the round. So I ended up giving that round to Godinez. So I had it 1-1 going into the third. Round three, more of the same. Both ladies are landing on the feet. Dern lands a takedown, but doesn't do anything with it, doesn't land any strikes. Godinez gets back to her feet. Both ladies are landing on the feet during the fight. And round three was just really a close round. I scored it for Godinez, but Mackenzie Dern gets the decision 29-28. It was a very close fight. I'm not going to say it was a robbery. I'll say it was a bad decision. I think Godinez won the fight. But it was a very close fight. I'm not going to act like it wasn't a close fight. It definitely was. Moving right along, we have Michael Chiesa versus Tony Ferguson. So round one, both guys coming out, having success. Both guys are landing. Chiesa lands a huge straight left hand. Tony's landing some leg kicks, very much into the fight. Then they get into the clinch, and Chiesa gets around the back to a body lock. I don't know if it was like a trip or something, but Chiesa ends up getting a takedown, and he throws in the body triangle like right away, instantly. Next thing you know, he locks up the rear naked choke. Tony taps, and that's the end of the fight. And then Tony Ferguson retires at the end of the fight. He puts one glove down inside the octagon and then said he'll take one with him for just in case, and then he threw the other glove into the crowd. So moving right along, we had a co-main event with Shar Magomedov and Michelle Olechechuk. So round one, Shar's coming out. He's landing a lot of kicks, low kicks, inside leg kicks, body kicks. Michelle is pretty much just marching forward. He's trying to get inside kicking range. Shar lands this nice step-in elbow, and it cuts Michelle pretty good, and he's starting to bleed pretty good. Shar's mostly circling and landing kicks, and that pretty much is the first round, and Shar lands more strikes. This is a clear 10-9 for Shar. Then we go into round two, and it's more of the same. Shar pretty much picks up right where he left off in round one. Circling, landing the kicks. Michelle is pretty much pressing forward, trying to get inside kicking range. Michelle was having a little bit of success. Like he was landing, but he wasn't landing super clean shots. He pretty much was doing a lot of head hunting. But then Shar lands a big right hand. It pretty much just stops Michelle in his tracks from walking forward. So that pretty much sums up round two. Both guys were landing, but Shar just landed more strikes, and then that big right hand was probably like the best shot of the round. Michelle then landed a takedown at the end of the round, but nothing really came of it. He didn't really do anything with it, so it was another 10-9 for Shar. Going into round three, it's exactly the same. Shar circling, landing kicks. Michelle lands a single leg at the end of the round. Nothing really happens. It's pretty much just Shar Magomedov circling, landing inside leg kicks, head kicks, outside leg kicks. side kicks. He pretty much just has every kick you can possibly think of, and he was having success with all of them. It was a pretty clear 30-27 for Nurmagomedov. And then moving up to the main event of the evening, we have Kaue Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov. So guys, going in, I told you this fight was going to be a high-level chess match, and that's exactly what it was. This was a very, very high-skilled fight right here between two elite fighters. So round one, very close round. Both guys are having success. Both guys are landing. Umar lands a takedown, but Kaue gets right back to his feet. This was probably the closest round, in my opinion. Kaue did a decent job defending all the takedowns. Kaue landed a lot of leg kicks. Umar also landed a lot of kicks as well. It was a very close round. I gave the round to Kaue Sandhagen, but I also can see, someone giving the round to Umar. Like I said, this was the closest round of the fight, and I can understand people giving this round to Umar for sure. Round two, both guys are landing. It's pretty much like tit for tat. It's very clear both guys are very elite, and this is a very high-skill matchup right here. One guy will land, and then the other guy will answer and land right back. Umar lands a little bit more. Then Umar also gets a takedown. Kaue scrambles, but Umar ends up on the back. Then Kaue fights the grip, but then he ends up back on his feet, and it's another close round. I gave this round to Umar, so I have it 1 round apiece. Going into round three, it's pretty much the exact same as round two. It's just tit for tat, jabs, inside leg kicks, outside leg kicks. Umar lands a nice right hand. It's probably the best shot of the round. Kaue isn't landing as much as he was in the first 2 rounds. Umar ends up getting a takedown, and he gets the back. But I wouldn't say he did much with it, but also that was pretty much the end of the round. So this is another 10-9 for Umar. So I have it 2 rounds to 1 going into the 4th. Round 4, Kaue's a bit more forward on the pressure this round. Umar is countering Kaue anytime he rushes in to close the distance. Both guys are landing. It's more tit for tat. Umar is landing slightly at a higher clip. Whenever Kaue would throw, Umar counters with a combination, and Umar ends up winning this round as well. So I have it 3 rounds to 1 going into the 5th. And round 5 is another tit for tat round. It's like each guy is landing. Umar starts to land a bit more in this round as well. You can tell Kaue at the end of the 4th round was starting to get a bit frustrated. Umar gets a takedown. Kaue rolls for a scramble. Umar ends up on top with 2 minutes left in the round. Kaue gives up his back. Umar takes the back. Then there's another scramble. Umar ends up back on top. And at this point, this was kind of where you could see that Kaue kind of was all right, I'm kind of stuck here. And Umar controlled the position for the rest of the round. And it's another 10-9 round for Umar. So I had it 49-46 Umar. Maybe you had it a little closer, but I think it was a clear win and a very good showing for Umar Nurmagomedov. Kaue Sandhagen fought very well. I don't want you guys to think that he didn't, but it just showed that Umar Nurmagomedov he's one of the elite bantamweights on the planet, and I think he definitely has a title shot next, and he's going to fight the winner of O'Malley Merab. So if you made it this far in the video, I greatly appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think of the fights. Comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.